maybe we can do that real quick right now, right? So, quick guide on like what stats to look out for on gear in general. Suffixes for rings. Resistances. Maybe percent endurance once like resistances are fixed. And maybe some flat HP. Otherwise, percent resistances are great on rings, on amulet, and on relic, because while you can get resistances on every single gear slot pretty much, there are other better stats on other gear slots than on like on chest and so on, right? Like other affixes that are better here. So resistances on rings, relic, and amulet. And then also fixed resistances with idols, as long as you don't have like double HP idols yet. Then next, for chest, helmet, belt, boots, you want HP here. So you want percent HP on helmet and chest, and hybrid HP eventually. These are kind of rare, you will get them only later on. Like hybrid HP will give you flat HP and percent HP in one FX on belt, boots, and gloves. Then you can always get, obviously, movement speed on boots. It's premium, right? You can only get movement speed on boots usually, except for uniques. Then you can get also vitality on helmet, chest, boots, and I believe not on gloves actually. But you, or maybe also on gloves actually. So vitality gives you per point, like one vitality gives you 6 HP, 1 poison rest, and 1 necrotic rest. I have one here, for example. You can see I have 1 poison rest, 1 necrotic rest because of that. And vitality is a, well, it's a decent way of getting like flat HP. It's not like necessarily the best, but you get like some resistances for free on top, and then you can like scale that flat HP with your percent HP on the suffixes on helmet, chest, or like the hybrid HP suffix on belt and boots. Vitality is a prefix, so you can put it on helmet, chest, boots, and gloves. I believe not on belt, and also not on rings. On rings, for example, as a prefix, you could put your primary stats, so for example dexterity, or strength, or attunement, or intelligence, right, whatever you're playing. You could also do the same on gloves. However, on gloves, I think you also want to do something like casting speed, or attack speed, or throwing speed, depending on like what you're playing. Or for example, like flat throwing damage is also pretty good. If you're playing throwing damage in general, your damage will not come from your weapon a lot, it will rather come from rings. You get throwing damage on rings, you get throwing damage on belt, you get throwing damage on relic, and you get throwing damage on gloves. Otherwise, for spell and for melee damage, your damage will probably get come from your weapons mostly. Here you can get flat damage, like flat melee damage, or flat spell damage if you're playing like a wand, or a casting speed if you're playing a wand rather, or spell critical strike chance if you're playing like spell crit. Stuff like that is really good on weapons. Otherwise, if you're playing like a dot-based build, you can get percent damage here, like for example percent physical damage to scale your bleed damage, percent fire damage to scale your ignites, and on the suffixes you can get chance to ignite and bleed on hit. Bleed and ignite on hit, or poison on hit for example, is also generally really good early game, because early game ailments are pretty strong because of their like decent base damage. Later on you only get this on weapon if you are actually scaling those, otherwise you probably want on suffixes on weapons something more useful, like the new percent penetration affix, or just like generic like debuffs like chance to chill, chance to get frailty on hit, stuff like that. So yeah, on prefixes, on gear, if you want to be like very generic, you can always go like vitality plus like whatever your main stat is, maybe like some plus skills to like whatever is your skill that you want you're having, right? Like I don't know, like plus skills to vengeance, or plus skills to smite, or to holy aura, or whatever, right, you're playing. You can also get on relic depending on the skill. It would be either on helmet, on chest, or relic, the plus skills. On amulet you want, as I said earlier, suffixes, resistances, and prefix, for example penetration to whatever damage type you're dealing. You can also get crit multiplier if you're playing crit. You can also get mana regeneration if you're hungry on mana. Mana is a very, very interesting thing in this game, because there is no mana pots in this game, right? And more often than not, your damage will actually be mana gated. So to get mana regeneration, there are a couple of slots where you can get that. You can get mana regeneration on relic prefix, rings prefix, belt prefix, and amulet prefix. Right? These are the mana regeneration stats, and yeah, that's basically it. One more thing to notice, or like to point out here, is ways to become crit immune. There's 2 different ways to get crit immunity in this game. Either you get 100% crit avoidance, or you get 100% chance to reduce like extra damage taken from crits. basically like reducing a crit to a normal hit. Whatever you're taking, right, whatever you're picking, you want to focus on either or, and you want to get that number to 100%. For example, if you go to End of Time, you do the first monolith and you get the woven flesh, the like unique chest that you can get, not 100%, but like 50%-ish from the boss here on Monolith of Fate, from the Fall of the Outcasts. Then you get a chest that has like by default 100% crit chance avoidance. However, with this patch, there's also a suffix that grants you armor, as well as less damage taken from crits, both in one affix. And that affix is pretty strong in my opinion. And you can get that on, for example, chest, or shield, or boots, or gloves, or helmet. And I actually grown to like that one generally a bit more on this patch than crit avoidance. But it does require an affix slot, of course. I mean, crit avoidance will too. And I think to max it out, to get to like 100%, you need like 3 tier 5 affixes usually. So 3 slots will need to have like this armor and reduced damage taken from crits in your gear. The other way would be crit chance avoidance. Crit chance avoidance has the one benefit that you can also get it as a suffix on rings. So there's like more slots where you can get crit avoid, that you can get the like armor and less damage taken from crits thing. So like choose whatever you think you want. Other than that, I mean, all the other affixes are going to be like a bit more like build specific, like depending on like what you're playing. You want to like look out for different ways to scale your damage. But yeah, that's basically it. Also, of course, if you're playing like an hour stacker, percent armor, like besides percent HP, percent armor can also be really good on like chest and helmet, for example. Or maybe like percent dodge chance can also be good if you like dodge rating stacking. That can also be good. I personally prefer armor over dodge in hardcore because armor is more consistent and dodge is not that consistent. But yeah, that's basically it. Let me know if you have any other questions as well. Might as well put us on YouTube, I guess.